So one of the most common questions a lot of us get asked as gamers, me definitely being a peripheral reviewer, tech reviewer, whatever, you know, I'm sure you just as a gamer or a mouse fan yourself as well. People always ask, hey man, what mouse should I get? And there's really no one way to go about that, right? Sure, you can jump on hype, which a lot of people do. They'll jump on hype and just buy that thing because it's popular and the hot thing out right at that moment, right? But there's so many different factors that can go into buying a gaming mouse. And the number one thing I want you to take away from this video is don't take any of this to heart. All right, this is not the how to buy a mouse Bible by any means, you know what I mean? Don't take any of this to heart. Pick it apart little by little, and maybe one little thing here or there can help you out, maybe give you some ideas whenever you pick up your next gaming mouse. So when we're shopping for a mouse, there's so many different options, from price to shape to weight to style or whatever, right? But the number one spot where I personally start, which I think pretty much this is one thing that you can take away from this, right? Where I think a lot of people should start from. So let's get all these out the way, and let's go on and stick with the glorious Model O and then the Model D. So why do I pull out these two mice right here? And I honestly get this question quite a bit in comments. Hey man, should I get the D or the O right here, you know? And the only thing I could put in the comments is, man, those are two completely different mice. And why I say that, number one, like the D being an ergo right here. Talking ergo, you see it swoops out a bit more on the side. Put it in your hand, it's like a stinking glove. It fills out your hand. Your hand's gonna be very cozy on it. You're gonna, again, that mouse is gonna be part of your hand. It's gonna sit right in there. Talking about the Model O being an Ambi mouse, as you see it swoops in on both sides right here. And again, it's more or less that fingertip or claw. You're gonna more or less pinch the mouse with your fingers or your hand rather than this guy kind of sitting on there. Now, yes, you can do both on both mice right here. You can pull the O back there and kind of sit it in the back of your hand. Me personally, I got to try to do that. And talking about like clawing the Model D right here, yeah, you can do it. But again, I have to try to do that. So again, when I talk about these two different shapes right here, Ergo versus Ambi, you kind of suit it into your preferred grip style. And going further than grip style, I say play style. We know a big popular thing with talking about mice, people like to measure their hand. I personally don't care how big your hand is or how small it is. I don't ever measure my hand in any of my videos, you know what I mean? You know which shape you like as far as the mouse. And I put it more directed as gameplay style, right? You all know I play a lot of Call of Duty. Fairly fast paced, and I play it pretty darn good, you know what I mean? So talking about these and talking about Call of Duty, what I like doing is holding my shot, locking it, controlling that recoil, and really coming through with that kill right there. Bam, and then coming to the next one and be able to just rapidly do that, right? So holding your shot, talking about something like the Model O, again, I'll be pinching it right here, holding it. What I like doing is pulling the mouse into the back of my hand so then I can hold my shot, but I can still flick and dip with this guy. You know what I mean? I can still play fast and I can still kind of hold it down and lock it. Again, locking it, I have to try a little bit more with the Model O. Coming over to the D right here, more or less for me, a palm grip. You all know I used to love palm grip. I don't palm grip ever when I'm gaming anymore, you know what I mean? Just pretty much as far as work. I definitely use fingertip. But talking about the Model D and an ergo mouse right here, sitting into your hand, it's gonna hold it there and it's gonna slow your gameplay down a little bit. Maybe I should say my gameplay. That's going to depend on your gameplay as well. Are you someone back there just sniping and you want to hold that shot just constantly? I think that's where the D will come into play. But I'm running around, you know, getting this one, and this one, you know. And when I get the D, it's just my natural habit that I pull it down there and I automatically palm it, right? I'm not going to sit here and claw an ergo mouse. I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna put it in my palm. So I'm getting this guy. I got that. I held my shot good, but I want to flip over and get this guy over here. I can't just flick it with my hand. Again, my instinct, I'm just putting my palm on it. So I got to take my whole arm and I'm coming over here to that, right? I'm gonna flick the thing like this. You only got that little bit of travel there, right? Then again, when you got it in your fingers, you can flip it right there. A little bit of movement in your arm, bam, and you're all the way over here. Rather with that ergo wrapped in your palm, you're flicking it here. Then you got to take your arm over to that spot. That's as far as my gameplay with Call of Duty, and that's why I don't palm grip anymore. Because again, it would slow me down a little bit. I still play good with it. I play very good with it, you know what I mean? But I will miss a kill or two here and there, you know what I mean? So I think that's a really big takeaway starting off right there, is Ambi versus Ergo. Ergo versus Ambi. I had that backwards there, right? I think that's a big thing. Just kind of think about how do you like resting your hand, take it from your current mouse, and how does it compare to it what do you want to try, or how do you play faster or slower. But the number 2 one I want to pull out here, which I think really comes right in line with that, as you can see, we have the Viper Mini and then the Viper Ultimate here. But talking about the Mini, it's a very small mouse, right? This guy is straight up fingertip for me. Maybe there's someone out there that can claw this guy or pull it into the back of the hand. I don't know. I can't whatsoever. It is a tiny mouse. I'm just straight up here pinching it. It's uncomfortable, and I can't hold a shot whatsoever. Coming over to the Viper Ultimate, it's also too small for me, even though it's much bigger than the Viper Mini. So that's gonna be a lot different for a lot of people. Number 1, talking about playstyle and gameplay. Me talking about Call of Duty, I can't hold my shots with either of these mice. But say you're playing, again, Kovacs or maybe hardcore Call of Duty, something that's a one-shot, bam, bam, bam. You're just flicking all around the place, you know, just getting these one-shot kills. Then I think something real tiny like this, where it's not in your hand, you got your control right up here in your little, you know, fingertips, and you're just going all over the place. Then something like this, I think, is really going to shoot you, because again, or suit you. Because think about if you got a mouse in your hand and you're just bow, bow, bow all over the place. I mean, you're going to be like this, you know. If you got something just in your fingertips, you're just flicking and dipping like that. So me talking about the Mini not suiting me, because it's just way too small, uncomfortable. I can't control my shots or anything like that. It doesn't work for me. Fantastic mouse, not for me. So the Viper Ultimate, why it doesn't work for me? The grip width is way too thin. I'm still just pinching the mouse right here, and I get, again, a little cramp over here. You start feeling it going up to this muscle up your arm. Sounds a little dramatic, right? But again, I play fast pace, and I play for quite a while, and over time, you do feel that. For me, that grip width is way too small. But number 2, why this mouse doesn't work for me is the height. So there's my 2 points right there as far as dimensions that I always look for in mouse, even before length, right? Is that grip width and that height. But more importantly, where is that height taking place? Is it in the middle? Is it towards the back? Where is that height? Because what that does is, how can I pull it into the back of my hand, again, to lock and control those shots? And that's right where I pull out my main mouse, my favorite mouse that I have unboxed again, and I absolutely just love. And that is the ZA, I'm not sure, is this the 12B, I believe. I could have that number wrong. I started with the 11, I think it was, but it was just too big. It pretty much threw me in the palm. I went down to the 12 here, and I just love it. So you might be saying, let me get the Viper out here again. So what's so much different about this? The grip width is almost the same. The length is almost the same right here. But take a look at the height, the hump. It is a drastic difference right here. Look at that hump on that ZA. That sucker is just plump, right? And then look at the Viper. It just sits very low. So again, I'm automatically into that fingertip the majority of the time, even though I like getting that relaxed claw, which is my main grip now, claw and relaxed claw. And I can't really do that with the Viper. I'm pretty much always in a fingertip. But when I get that ZA, I can fingertip, I can claw, I can pull it back, and it sits into the back of my palm, right? So again, I'm flicking to get my shots, but bam, when I'm on my shot, I'm into my palm and I'm locked. This thing's not budging, right? Bam, I pull it back out, I flip over to my next one, pull it back, and I'm in there. It might sound like a lot, like, man, you're like all over like this, but it's just natural for me, right? It's like riding a bike, like, you know, it's just, bam, I pull it in there, and it's just this natural instinct, and it's just flowing perfect. And again, I'm always in the top 3. Hey, if you want a challenge, let me know. Maybe I'll throw my tag down below and you can add me. We can get a little couple rounds in there, right? But again, that's what I love about it. I can flick and dip, and I can still lock it. So one other thing I want to talk about there, which you might be coming to a conclusion of, is like, well, in the beginning you said Ergo or Ambi, right? So we'll pull out the Zowie EC right here, right? Going again, kind of Model D to Model O right there. So we got our Ergo right here, and everything I just said about the ZA, you're probably like, dude, why don't you just do that with like the EC or the D right there, something Ergo? Because again, it's going to hold your shot. Bam, it's going to lock you in right there. And you have that control. The mouse is your hand now with an Ergo mouse. But again, I go right back. If you kind of take that comparison, number 1, natural instinct, we're going to palm this mouse. But number 2, even if it's just like right here and I'm trying to flick and dip it, it comes back and fills out my hand, whether it be the palm and then the side, right? So again, I'm not being able to flick to that next one. I'm just right here, and I'm like moving my whole body over to get to the next one as far as my gameplay. And that's why the ZA, again, it just suits both of those needs. Now, there's one other mouse that, for me, really gets to sit in this category as well. And you've heard me praise this and kind of gripe about it, right? And that is the Endgame XM1. What the heck ever model you have. I'm not going to get into my XM1 rant here, right? But I really feel like this sits in that ZA class, right? That hump is definitely clear as day towards the back, sits a little bit lower, but it is a little bit wider right here. And it just has such a nice feel. Again, I can play just like that, flicking and dipping, pull it back into my palm, a little bit wider than the 12 right here, the ZA, but still you get that nice. You get fast pace, you can pull it in and hold it and everything, but I still do get a little bit better for me. And talking about this, when I say for me, this is kind of like sums up my point in a nutshell right here. Talking about these two, so similar as far as shape and just kind of where the hump lays and everything like that, but it's quite a drastic difference. I can play much better with the Zowie than the Endgame here. Both fantastic, amazing mice, but something that small, talking about that hump, how big is it and where does it sit, plays that big of a role. And that's where you can come into play. Which mouse are you currently using? Look at those dimensions, put it into whatever you're looking at, upgrade into or change into or trying out, whatever, you know, and then you'll be able to just say that, okay, well, where's that hump? Is it more towards the back or more towards the front? Because the one I'm using now, it's pretty much flat and the hump's dead in the middle. And talking about that right there, as far as play style and what you play, we all don't play, at least me, I don't play just Call of Duty. That's my main game. I play Call of Duty Insurgency Sandstorm, but I play a lot of story games, right? What am I playing now? The Mafia Definitive Remaster. What a blast, right? So I'm not going to use this, you know, pinched up, smaller mouse to play something like that, right? That's when it comes into, again, something Ambi. But what I say in a lot of my videos is you should always have 2 mice. That would make 4. But if you should have 2 mice on your desk. Again, that Ergo and that Ambi. Because again, I don't think you're going to want that one tiny mouse. Say if you're editing a video or photos or something like that, just browsing like, oh, how fast can I color grade this, right? You're flicking and dipping with this lightweight tiny mouse. It's going to be incredibly uncomfortable if you're sitting there editing some videos, doing some homework for some odd amount of hours. It's just not going to work. Like, no way. You know, that's where it comes into something nice in Ergo right there. We can just relax. You're sitting there. You're comfortable with your mouse. It's a great mouse, you know what I mean? And it's going to work out for those situations, whether it be like a story game, working, creative work, or whatever like that. But I always tell people you should have 2 mice on your desk. And that's kind of like where I sit. I got the Death Adder V2 Pro, the wireless one that sits on my desk as far as something like that if I'm just perusing or working or anything. And then the G Pro wireless. I have the Superlight here, but either of them are fine. And this is like a go-to gaming mouse. So the next thing, you're probably saying right now, okay, dude, keep 2 mice on your desk. And that, again, that can range as far as price. You can get 2 like 50, $100. But talking about these guys, you're looking like $300, like $300 for mice. I'm sorry, that's a lot of stinking money, you know? So I can also go the route of, okay, let's get rid of that. In the one and done mouse, I believe this is, there's some runners up. There's some really close mice, but the one and done mouse, I'd have to say, is the G Pro wireless. Again, it doesn't have to be the Superlight. It can be the Superlight or the regular. It's the shape we're talking about here, right? But I feel like you can do everything with this mouse. Claw, relaxed claw. Heck, you can even pull into a little bit of a palm if you want, and it is comfortable because it has a very nice prominent hump. And again, it just kind of flows perfectly right here. You got a little bit of hump in the back, a little bit up top. It doesn't just fall off anywhere. I think it really does everything nice right here. And that's where I say the G Pro wireless is that one and done mouse. But we can also go a different route with that point right there. The main point of this video, me saying this is the one and done mouse, you may absolutely hate it. You know what I mean? Again, I love this mouse, and I can, if I had one mouse on my desk, it would probably be the G Pro wireless. You know what I mean? But again, it may be the absolute opposite mouse for you. So what I say, let's go on, and what I want to do is pull out my #1 favorite mouse to game with is, again, the ZA12. I just love it here. It's great weight, great shape, great build, and everything. So if I was looking at it, if I'm listening to this video, I'm saying, all right, man, this guy's saying G Pro wireless is the one and done mouse. I would take this mouse, my main mouse, and I'd jot down the dimensions, right? I know where the hump is. I know the hump is in the back right here, right? So I jot down the grip width and then the height. Again, I've even skipped the length. Sure, the length does matter, but for me, grip width and height right there. Where is that height is the biggest thing. Is it gonna come into the back of my palm? So when I'd look at this, I said grip width, okay, it's pretty stinking close. And that hump, again, looking at it here, how it rolls to the back. That's how I would shop for a mouse, you know. And then again, if I go to something like the Viper or the Viper Ultimate here, I can say, okay, man, this guy's saying this is his main. Grip width, all right, it looks a little bit smaller in the height. Well, it's got decent height, but it's smack dab in the middle. It just drops off towards the back right there. I'm like, all right, well, I like something I can pull in the back of my palm and really stick with. Maybe you're over there saying, I don't want something to touch the back of my palm at all. So maybe something like this is going to suit you well. So again, that's what I do when I'm shopping for my mice, you know, because again, I buy a lot of my mice. Not all these are just sent out by companies, you know. So that's how I look at it. It's like, all right, what are those dimensions? Where, more importantly, where are those dimensions? And how is it gonna be different from my main, the one I prefer the most? Now again, like I stated at the beginning, the number one thing I definitely want you to take away from this video is don't take any of this to heart. Because again, it can be completely different for you. Like I stated, I'm not real big into that whole hand measuring stuff because I think it's, again, more or less your play style and how you play, what kind of games you play. Maybe you care about hand measurements and that's what you base your mice off. I never, ever look at that. You know what I mean? So again, pick it apart, nitpick and say, all right, maybe I can use that when I'm looking for my next mouse, or maybe this. I'd also like to hear what you use for shopping for your mouse. Do you just buy whatever this YouTuber says is his favorite and what's most popular and hyped up online? I personally don't. You know, I don't really follow hype trends. Maybe that's dad mode right there, you know. You become a dad mode and start living adult life. Hype is like whatever, you know. But again, if you're actually shopping for that mouse that you really want, how do you break it down? I'm just really curious to hear. Like, again, this is like a coffee shop topic. I want to sit down and talk with you, you know? Like, how do you buy your new mouse? Do you just buy, again, what everyone's hyped up about? Or do you break it down on shape, feel, and stuff like that? Again, I'm just really curious to hear. But anyways, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this discussion right here. I hope it helped you out some way or another if you were buying a new mouse. Again, maybe one little thing you could have taken away from this, even if that may be, don't take anything away from this video. But anyways, again, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for some future tech videos. I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye now.